Not only are you going to do a dungeon, dungeons are already an amazing source of experience and gear, but on top of that, there is a very large bump up in experience and gil that I'm going to get if I queue in and do this dungeon. Hi guys, I do want to give a very brief guide on a very important thing that you need to be aware of as you're going through, and I know I've got guides that cover beginner, intermediate, and advanced, and as a brand new player, especially a player who hasn't played a lot of MMOs before, and you're intimidated by MMOs and the concept of having to play with other players, which I get, I understand that. So social anxiety is something that a lot of us feel, especially when you're new. It can be intimidating, so I get you. If you're playing through, please use the duty support system when you're doing dungeons and make sure that you're going at your pace, that you're learning. Once you're comfortable, you're ready to dip your toes into doing dungeons with other human beings, which is just the standard duty finder, then I highly recommend this next feature. And that feature is roulettes. And the first one, which is really important, is your duty roulette. So the standard duty roulette, later on, as you play through the game, there will be numerous, this list will get very, very long. There will be like 10 or 15 different options available for you here. But starting out earlier in the game, you're just gonna have the one roulette unlocked, which is the leveling roulette. So the way a roulette works, it takes all of your dungeons, or all of your raids, or all your trials, depending on the roulette type, and it puts it on a roulette table. So pretend it's a big randomizer. And then what it does is it cues you in to run that dungeon with other human beings. So this is an important note. Duty roulette cannot be used with duty support, and it cannot be used with the trust system. You can't do NPCs to do duty roulette. So why do I recommend this so much? Duty roulette is without a doubt the best bang for your buck use of your time if you are trying to level up your character. There is still going to be parts of the story though where you're going to want to farm experience, whether that is because you want to try a new job out, a new class out, or let's just say you've been neglecting some of the other features and you start falling behind in the story. You start getting to a point where you want to go do the next main story quest, but you're too low of a level. In this game, you never want to be grinding enemies. You never want to be going up to an enemy and just fighting it over and over and over. That's not really a realistic way of playing the game. The way this game works is you always want to be acting out of your duty support system or your actual duty finder system as much as possible. This is where you're going to get the most XP. I do also recommend the hunting log, but that's a completely separate topic for a completely different day. So for the duty finder, number one, put this on your bar somewhere. You can always also find it up here under the exclamation mark, right? So you can do exclamation mark and then do duty finder. It's the exact same thing, but I do recommend putting it on your bar. When you click it, it's going to open up this window. Here, let me put the window in the center of the screen here. And you choose your roulette. For a leveling roulette, it's going to take all of the dungeons I'm allowed to run. So it's not going to queue me for anything I haven't unlocked. So right now, on Myth, we've only unlocked 2 dungeons. So we have Sestasha, and we have the Tantera Deepcroft. So looking at the leveling roulette, it's telling me that Adventure in Need is tanked. If I queue as a tank, number one, I will have a very fast queue. Again, this could be beneficial if you're saying, hey, I've got some time to kill, I want to run some dungeons. Go to your roulettes and see if any of them, if you prefer playing tank, find ones that have Adventure in Need tank. Sometimes it'll be healer, rarely it'll be DPS. Not commonly, but rarely it will. Some of the later ones will more commonly request DPS, in particular raid finders. But for duties, it's usually tanks and healers that are in need. And then importantly, on the right-hand side, so you get a little bit of a description. And again, a dungeon or trial will be selected at random from among those you have unlocked. Successful completion will earn you far greater rewards. So what this is saying is not only are you going to do a dungeon, dungeons are already an amazing source of experience and gear. They're just a really efficient thing to do if you want to level your character. But on top of that, the first time every day you do a particular roulette, you get a bonus. So you see this top section where there's a little experience symbol and a gil symbol, and they have the arrows. This means that there is a very large bump up in experience and gil that I'm going to get if I queue in and do this dungeon. There aren't exact numbers on this because it scales on level. It's not a flat number, it's based off of what level I am. And it could be, there's like a lot of little factors into it, but it is very large. I mean, it's not uncommon to get 2 or 3 levels. I'm not joking, 2 or 3 levels from one duty roulette. So if you're behind on levels, or if you've been playing one class but you want to try a different class, get that class to at least level 16 and you will be able to use the duty roulette and use your daily duty roulette with that class, and you're gonna fly through levels, I promise. In addition though, if you play the adventurer in need, so in this case if we played as tank, we would get a bonus 1000 experience and a bonus 1300 gil. This isn't a ton of experience, right? So one level is 49,000 experience for me, so this is like 2%. It's like a 2% experience bonus, but it's something, right? So it's like, hey, it's just a little bit extra that we're going to give you for playing what's needed. And this is how the game incentivizes people to go back and to do those dungeons that other players need for their story, right? So you're playing through the story, you get to a dungeon, you have to run the dungeon. Well, how is it that other people are still queuing to do those dungeons with you? This is how. It's because they incentivize people to do the roulettes. The roulette will put them in a giant queue, and it'll run whatever dungeon is next for the people who've been waiting the longest. So this is a way that you can also support the community. You can go in and fill the roles in the dungeons that you've already cleared before for people who need it. If somebody in that dungeon run, if it's their first time doing the dungeon, you get an additional bonus, and it will say at the start of the dungeon, it'll say X, Y, and Z has never completed this dungeon. Well, really, it says one of the players in your party. It says one of the players in your party has not completed this dungeon before, so there will be a bonus for completing it. So again, just a great way to get extra bonus experience, to level up your character, to get extra gil. It's just a wonderful thing to do. But wait, there's more. If you've watched my video on the challenge log, go watch my video on the challenge log. If you haven't, if you have not unlocked this, go unlock it. I'm telling you right now, unlock the challenge log. If you've unlocked the challenge log, in the battles category, every week, there is a challenge for completing dungeons via the duty roulette. So just queuing for a dungeon natively doesn't count. That counts for Dungeon Master, but feeling lucky is for duty roulette. So at level 25, if I complete 3 dungeons via duty roulette, I get a bonus 7,000 experience. So that's not a bad amount at all. That's like 15% of a level. It's like not insignificant at all, and an extra 1,000 gil. On top of that, that's going to get me closer and closer to completing my challenge log, which gives us these huge gil bonus. 10,000 gil, especially as a new player in the world, it's a lot of money. You do not want to be sleeping on this. So doing your daily duty roulettes, and then later on as you level up, you'll unlock more. Doing those roulettes are going to be a huge boon for you. I highly recommend doing them. Even if you're still feeling a little bit anxious, even if you're somebody who you're not always comfortable queuing in with a lot of random other people, if you feel like you're not great at the game, remember, it's only going to put you in a dungeon that you've already unlocked. So number one, it's never going to be a surprise. It may be an old dungeon, it may be a dungeon that you ran months ago, but it's still never going to be a surprise for you. It's never going to be your first time in there. And two, if it's been a while, there's absolutely nothing wrong with when you load in, is to quickly type a message to your party members and say, hey, it's been a while since I've been in this one, or hey, I'm out of practice, and everybody will be more than comfortable and they'll go at your pace. I highly recommend it if you feel comfortable doing it. Once again, as you're playing through, if you are still not feeling comfortable doing regular duty finder, running with other human beings, that is what my intermediate guides are for. I'm going to have a guide for every single dungeon. So when you get to that part of the story, if you want to watch the guide, I'm going to walk you through how to do it on every single type of job. Don't worry, I got your back. I'll help you out. I'll give you everything you need to know. And then I promise you, if you find people like us, find mentors in the game, or if you just let people know that you're new, they'll be more than accommodating. I promise you can do it. I have faith in you. you can do it. Anyway, so that's it. I'm not going to run a duty roulette because it's effective. Once you get into the dungeon, it is functionally the same as doing any other dungeon, and you can watch other guides for running the dungeon. However, again, just cannot convey it enough. Put the duty finder on your bar. Do your daily leveling roulette whenever you can. If you notice, actually, it just updated. Now Adventure in Need is healer, so this is a really good example. It updates live on what the role in need would be. So I would switch to my Conjurer, which is my healer class, and then I would just click join, and it would throw me in queue, and we'd probably immediately get a pop, and we'd get a lot of great rewards. So don't sleep on it. It's duty roulette. I hope this is helpful. I hope you have a good time in Final Fantasy XIV, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you. Goodbye.